And welcome to Enterprise Friday on Enterprise Television. I am Anama Ame. We'll begin with our newspaper review before diving into our main conversation of today. Please do well to join us across all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. Like, share, and engage. So joining us virtually is Emeka Madunagu. He is a journalist and public affairs analyst. Good morning, Mr. Emeka.
Yeah, good morning. I prefer to be addressed quickly as Emeka Madunagu, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's good to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you very much. Happy weekend. Thank God it's Friday.
Yes, thank God it's Friday. We'll go straight into our newspaper review this morning. Picking from various headlines, we look at the Guardian newspaper, picking about DSS, 6 stiff penalties for convicted adopted Oyo State teachers and pupils. We look at the Vanguard, life expectancy challenge, why Nigerians are dying too soon. And then we also look at the Daily Trust newspaper, transport fare rise as petrol hits 1,400 naira per litre. Also on the Daily Trust, kidnappers of Oyo school children, teachers, bag life sentence. So, Mr. Emeka, let's start from kidnappers of Oyo children and teachers who were recently given life sentences by a court in Oyo State. Please, do you think the judgments like this can help restore public confidence in Nigeria's justice?
Yeah, thank you very much. The life sentence, to me, I don't think, well, ordinarily it will look like, it's best for them to be given the death sentence. But of course, we'll notice that in recent years, Nigeria has been moving away from the death penalty to a life imprisonment in line with global best practices. We know among leading nations of the world, it's only the United States that still carries out the death penalty. A lot of nations have discarded the death penalty. But be that as it may, you see, even if the government kills all terrorists, we must tackle the root causes. And we have to know that socioeconomic factors, account for 70% of, the root causes of terrorism. So we need to tackle them. There's poverty. So it's easy, there's widespread poverty. So it's easy to, for these people to recruit, poverty-stricken Nigerians, illiteracy, low education, and all of these factors contribute to widespread insurgency. And then again, we have porous borders. So people can move across the borders, especially in the Sahel region, easily. And so what it means is that you have freelance fighters all over, the Sahel, moving from one conflict zone to the other. Then again, you have the issue of illegal mining, which is a major financier of this insurgency. Of course, Nigeria must develop the balls. Nigeria must develop the necessary courage to deal with the big guns behind illegal mining. We must develop the courage. And it's not just, these are just operatives on the field. How about their sponsors? How about, at least getting some sponsors, jailed for life, so that we can sponsor financiers. Then the military had already said that they discovered foreign collaboration. They killed the chief photographer, one foreigner, I think a Palestinian photographer. They also found a Moroccan medical doctor who accompanied some ISWAP elements to go and raid an army base. And what they were targeting were drugs for treating cholera. So there is this intelligence assessment that is like there has been an outbreak of cholera among ISWAP in the ISWAP rank. So that's why they wanted to raid that base. So we must deepen intelligence. Our military and paramilitary police, we need to commend them. They are really doing a big job. But we must continue with intelligence-based anti-insurgency war. And I believe we'll get there. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the topic that cuts across almost all our newspaper this morning. President Tinubu expands army to 12 divisions, approves 28,000 recruits. The president has approved the expansion of Nigerian army to 12 divisions and recruitment of 28,000 personnel. What message does this send about the government's security priorities?
It shows that the government believes that expanding the size of the big divisions, the big portions of the Nigerian army will help to bring down insecurity. But I respectfully disagree, because, I mean, for instance, how can you still keep 82 division in Enugu, in charge of the entire Southeast, 5 states of the Southeast? I mean, how do you do that? Then you have 81 division just for Lagos and Ogun State. Yes, I know Lagos is said to be the most populated in the country, most populated state in the country with 22 million people. Now, there's a report that says that Nigeria's population has risen to 242.4 million people. And by 2030, it's projected that Nigeria's population will get to 400 million. Now, it's not just about expanding divisions. It's about upskilling our, the tactical divisions, the fighting divisions. The rural areas, a lot of rural areas in the north are actually severely under-policed, and they're not well covered. Of course, if you look at a place like Anambra State, for instance, in Nigeria, Anambra State is said to have the highest density of people per square kilometer, 1,500 people per square kilometer, compared to Yobe. But Anambra is the second smallest state after Lagos. So compared to Yobe, which is said to have 50 people per square kilometer. But now look at it. Boko Haram and ISWAP are well entrenched in Borno, Yobe, Adamawa, state, which is in the northeast. So if you now focus more on the division instead of the tactical fighting units, then there's going to be a problem. So I believe that expanding to 12 is not the issue. You can expand to 20, and you will still not deal with the real problems. And what are the real problems? You say you want to, the president has ordered. It's not just about the president ordering the recruitment of 28,000 people. Where are they going to come from? You just increased the salary, the minimum wage in the military to 100,000. What is 100,000? Go and look at the comparative analysis of, what privates are earning in different parts of just Africa. I don't want to go beyond Africa. It's a lot. And then what kind of food are you giving them? The other day, a blogger, Justice Crack, said some soldiers contacted him that they were giving Gary, to drink. People fighting a war? People are saying to fight war?
Are you there with us, sir?
Hello?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Network was just, yes, we are back.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that, how can we, you need to look at the welfare. There was a write-up on social media some days ago about a soldier, talking about a soldier, who talked about how he had to pack Gary in one pocket, pack noodles in another pocket, and was going to fight war. That even to get water, they couldn't get water. That they couldn't get water. They couldn't get water to drink. That they had to drink water with animals, the same water with animals. So these things need to be taken care of. If we remember many years ago, when we had this Jobitex, there was this company called Jobitex, owned by Otumba Jobifele. They had these special rations for military men. It was well packed, nutrient dense, well packed. For our soldiers, these things helped our soldiers in ECOMOG, in Sierra Leone, in Liberia. I don't know if Jobitex is still in existence, but we need more involvement of the private sector to, produce things that are specific for the military, that will help the military, in the far-flung areas of a conflict. About the safe schools initiative, we've been able to implement it. All the money put into it, gone. Then you had the safe camps that were supposed to be set up by the police in remote areas. What happened to the 1 billion earmark for it? Gone. So what we're talking about is that we still need to deal with the issue of deployment in those far-flung areas, in the deep areas. That is very needed. You can recruit 1 million people. You can see in some states of the country, people don't want to join the military, because of favoritism. They talk about that, the favoritism in the military. We must stop all of these things. These are our fellow countrymen. If people are qualified to be promoted, promote them for crying out loud. Let's stop all this tribalism. Let's stop all these unhelpful policies, unhelpful actions that make it look like some ethnic groups in Nigeria are more favored than others. In that way, you'll be able to get people to show interest in the military. Other than that, you can keep expanding divisions, recruiting thousands. There's a story that came out this morning. The Nigerian Army just brought out a notice declaring one private wanted for selling uniforms to terrorists. You have all those kind of things. When you do not, scrutinize the character of people, you don't profile the people you are getting into the military. There must be a better way, of dealing with this insurgency. Thank you.
Yes. Just very briefly, let's talk on bandits kill 23 farmers, others in Zamfara. Emeka, this latest attack has claimed the lives of at least 23 people. What does it tell us about the current security situation of Zamfara State?
Yes, Zamfara, thank you. Zamfara is one of the worst hit areas. One of the areas was hit by banditry, in the country. And there's a need to increase the fighting capability of our troops, and paramilitaries in those areas. Of course, we know there's this bandit, Bello Tuji, who is still on the loose. He has killed so many people. He has killed many farmers, killed soldiers, killed policemen and all of that. And he keeps taxing communities, demanding money, demanding crops from them, demanding, bribes from them before they're allowed to farm. We must find a way to get Bello Tuji. He must be captured. He must be captured, and all the other bandit commanders must be neutralized in the shortest time possible. And I know the Nigerian military can do it. It was the same Nigerian military that went to Sierra Leone, put down the Kamajos. The Kamajos were very brutal insurgents in Sierra Leone, but the Nigerian military wiped them out. In Liberia, we had the same problem of insurgency. We dealt with it. We've been to different places.
Emeka, do we still have you on the show?
And we dealt with all these. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here. Yes, okay. It just somebody, a call trying to come in, but don't worry. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Yes. So the Nigerian army, we must not lose faith in the Nigerian military. Zamfara, I think government needs to, government needs to focus serious attention on Zamfara, on Kebbi, Zamfara, Kebbi, because the good work that the military has been doing in the military and let me not forget the civilian JTF, what they've been doing in the Northeast has sent, a lot of these terrorists, running to different areas, running to the Northwest, to the North Central, to the Southwest, So we must intensify the push to neutralize these bandit commanders as quickly as possible. One of them was neutralized last week, Sani Kachala Yellow. It was neutralized by vigilantes. So we need to help. We need to continue to encourage our military, paramilitaries, and vigilantes to tackle these people very hard and rid those areas, of this because now is the planting season. Of course, I know rice. I think very soon there will be rice harvest. Now, what are these people doing? They want to see how they can instigate a hunger crisis in Nigeria. And there's a serious hunger crisis in Nigeria. The cost of living is high, So these people must not be allowed to, win the war because they know what they're doing. They're really fighting on all fronts to bring the country to its knees, but they won't succeed. Thank you.
Okay, Emeka will still be here with us to discuss our main conversation. When we return, the House of Representatives has passed the Constitution Alteration Bill to establish state police in Nigeria after securing the required two-thirds majority, despite a walkout by minority lawmakers who alleged that proper constitutional procedures were not followed. The bill transmitted by President Bola Tinubu aims to decentralize policing, improve intelligence, strengthen community policing, and enable state governments to respond more effectively to insecurity. Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu described it as a landmark reform, noting that it only provides the constitutional foundation for state police, while issues such as recruitment, funding, training, and accountability will be addressed through future legislation. For the amendments to become law, it must be harmonized with the Senate version, approved by at least two-thirds of the 36 states, and signed by the President. The controversy erupted during the consideration of the bill when Speaker Tajuddin Abbas conducted a voice vote instead of a clause-by-clause vote. Abbas said 311 lawmakers supported the bill, exceeding the constitutional requirement of 240 votes. Opposition lawmakers protested the process, insisting it breached parliamentary rules. They questioned how attendance was determined and argued that only the official attendance register should establish quorum before any constitutional amendment is considered. Emeka, are you still there with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay. So looking at this conversation this morning, the House of Representatives has passed the Constitution Alteration Bill, right? How significant is this development in Nigeria's bureaucracy?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's significant to the extent that at least we're moving steadily on state police. On getting state police. On getting state police. But yes, at least we are moving towards decentralizing the police. But these are still baby steps. Implementation, financing, recruitment are still issues that people are concerned about, and that was why what happened in the House happened yesterday. That was a walkout by the minority caucus. Thank you.
Okay, passing the bill in the House is only one stage, right? What are the next constitutional steps before these amendments can become law?
Yeah. The next steps will, the bill will still require approval from 2/3, 24 out of 36 states. Houses of assembly in 24 states before it can be presented to President Bola Tinubu for assent. This will now make it adhere to Section 9 of the 1999 Constitution, for constitutional alterations. Of course, you know that right now the country is, going through a process of constitution amendment. So we'll need that. We'll need that that concurrence to be able to achieve it. Thank you.
Okay. So, in your opinion, Emeka, do these proposed amendments address the constitutional issues Nigerians have consistently raised over the years?
Yeah, I didn't get your question. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm trying to get your opinion. Do these proposed amendments address the constitutional issues Nigerians have consistently raised over the years?
Well, there can never be a perfect constitution. No matter how well you try, there will still be misgivings. There will still be areas in need of further amendment. That's why you see the United States Constitution has been, over the years, in its 250 years history, has been amended again and again and again. You see, Britain has an unwritten constitution. So the constitution should just serve as a guide. What is more important is, adherence to the rule of law. I mean, you know what is wrong. You know what is wrong, based on the law. Then you, as a citizen, you know what your duties are as a citizen. You know why you should not violate the law. And you know that there are penalties under the law if you violate the law. So, the observance of the law is very, very important. So, in the case of the state police bill, it's very important for us to realize that we've come to a general consensus, if you permit that word, that we can no longer just simply rely on on a federally controlled police service, police force, to deal with issues of internal security. That's why you see that the army is overburdened. The army is in 31 out of 36, fully stationed, handling internal security matters in 31 out of 36 states. Maybe it has increased now. And so that leaves the army, that draws the army away from its constitutional duty of defending the nation, defending the territorial integrity of the nation. So what are we talking about? We need to help the nation to move along the path of, a secure jurisdiction. If we want to get more foreign investors, we must have a secure nation. If we want the citizens to be productive, we must have a secure nation. If we want schools, to carry out their duties of teaching our children, these schools must be secured. Educational institutions must be secured. We must not allow felons and outlaws to just enter a school and pick school children. We've seen how other nations have fought such things. I mean, was it 15 years ago that some terrorists invaded a school? Or was it in Chechnya? And we saw how Russia dealt with them, brutally. I mean, they took their hostages on a train, but the authorities let out gas that knocked out everybody on the train, and they were able to get the terrorists. Unfortunately, 2 or 3 elderly people died, but they were able to get the terrorists and neutralize them, and that greatly helped, to bring down terrorism, in that part of Russia. So, in that part of the old Soviet Union. So we must join hands together to make sure that the society is safer. But be that as it may, we also have to make sure that in trying to resolve the issue of insecurity, we are not going to now be creating, more islands of insecurity. Then that our security forces will not be working in silos, but that there will be a multi-layered approach. They will work together. They will layer strategy upon strategy to make sure that the nation becomes better secured. One major problem has been, the security forces working in silos, working alone, no interagency collaboration. And that's a problem. The military, gets intelligence that, for instance, these terrorists, by whatever name, moving through an area. And of course, they're able to confront them. But they also need air power. They need support from the Nigerian Air Force, right from the air, to give them air cover so that they can achieve decisive victories. But you see, if we achieve this, we also have the local issue. All politics is local. Security is a local thing. So we also need the support from state police.
Emeka, do we still have you on the show? Do we still have Emeka on the show? Okay, I think we'll draw the curtain here on this morning's show. Please do well to follow us across all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7, and don't forget to share. I still remain Anama Ame Gabriel. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. See you next time. Bye for now.